Now, Tyrion has done everything he could to aid in the rise of Daenerys Targaryen, the queen he believes can bring stability to Westeros. Her cause is the one he believes in. He's tried to keep her from making rash, violent decisions, so she can be seen as the benevolent ruler the realm needs. And yet, after the season 7 finale, the Dragon and the Wolf fans of the show feels a sense of doubt. Despite all the previous evidence that Tyrion's belief in Daenerys' cause is real, a few critics believe he has done the unthinkable by possibly turning his back on Khaleesi in the show's most pivotal moment. It may sound ridiculous, but there are some strong clues that a betrayal of the highest order just went down. In the episode's opening moments, Jon Snow is presented with the opportunity to earn a promise of peace from Cersei. He instead chooses to remain loyal to Dany. Tyrion in particular was upset with Jon, and he explained that sometimes there's a value in telling someone you'll give them what they want, even if you don't plan to do so. "I'm pleased you bend the knee to our queen. I would have advised it had you asked," said Tyrion. "But have you ever considered learning how to lie every now and then just a bit?" When Jon replied that lies could get them into a deeper trouble, Tyrion was blunt. "That is indeed a problem. The more immediate problem is that we're screwed," he said. A tense meeting between Cersei and Tyrion followed, but it's what happened off screen that matters the most. After professing his love for Cersei's deceased children and realizing his sister was pregnant, Tyrion appears to soften just before the camera cuts away from the scene altogether. Make no mistake, the fact that Tyrion doesn't want to destroy the Lannisters is a major confession, and it could confirm that he will betray or even has already betrayed Dany. The next time we see these two characters is during their return to the Dragon Pit. Cersei is suddenly willing to help Jon and Dany in their battle against the White Walkers, or at least it appeared that way. Cersei later explained to Jaime that the whole alliance thing was a lie. Having just seen Tyrion emphasize the value of a good lie to Jon Snow, it's reasonable to believe he'd stress this to his sister behind closed doors, especially when you consider she has shown more propensity to lie and manipulate than the rest of the characters of the show combined. If Tyrion is mostly concerned about appearances and keeping peace from now on, having Cersei send off Jon and Dany in good graces seems like the best possible move. While this is not necessarily an outright betrayal unless it's a part of a bigger conspiracy to harm them, it would be a blatant manipulation of a tough situation and a misleading of his allies at best. A few characters on the show would have the ability to pull off such a move, but if anyone could, it's the man who sees a value in a lie with a sibling who will do whatever it takes to hold onto her power. Ever since Tyrion linked up with Khaleesi, it seemed a given that he did not care about the fate of his family anymore. Aside from Jaime, with whom he always kept a close relationship, Tyrion appeared to be done caring about the fallout of his decisions as they pertain to House Lannister. In what could have been his final moments, however, Tyrion insisted to Cersei that his goal was never to destroy House Lannister, and he tried to paint his actions, including the homicide of his own father, in a way that would inspire sympathy from his sister. It was a bit of diplomacy for sure, but it was also a reveal of the soft side in his heart for his family despite their issues. If he believed his family was unredeemable, there'd be no sense in walking in what would be a certain death. But he doesn't, and he refuses to give up on them, even though he may have actually wanted to do for years. Following the episode and Tyrion's ominous look at the end, quite a big amount of fans began coming up with the same theory. Tyrion cut a deal with Cersei. He knew she was not going to go north and he told her to lie about it. Even the scene in which Cersei reveals her true intention to Jaime could be seen as a proof that Tyrion has already betrayed Dany. "You were always the dumbest Lannister." This is a reference to him falling for her lie. But Tyrion was also there and is also Lannister. If he fell for her lie as well, it would be an odd phrase for her to use. I feel like her attitude and phrasing implies that Tyrion was in on the lie. Of course, he would lie about the deal with Cersei. This move ends the meeting on good terms, no questions asked. The potential secret deal would also explain Tyrion's ominous look on the ship. He feels guilty towards the end of the episode when he sees Jon enter Daenerys' room. He betrayed her, it was a treason. This Tyrion's betrayal might have even been foretold in a prophecy in the books. In George R. R. Martin novels that inspired the Game of Thrones, Dany hears a prophecy in the House of the Undying that leads her to believe she'll face 3 key betrayals. The voices were growing louder, she realized, and it seemed her heart was slowing and even her breath. 3 treasons, will you know, once for blood and once for gold and once for love. While this exact prophecy never made it to the show, the betrayals certainly have. In Season 1, Mir Mazdur killed her unborn son to save Drogo's life. This is treason for blood since Mir betrayed her in revenge for the attack on her village, and the ritual only returns Drogo to a vegetative state while causing her son to die in her womb. Jorah betrayed Dany to King Robert for gold. The only one treason left is the one for love. Dany is also warned in the novel A Dance with Dragons not to trust a number of characters, including a lion, such as the Lion of House Lannister. Soon comes the Pale Mare, and after her the others. Kraken and Dark Flame, Lion and Griffin, the Sun's Son and the Mummer's Dragon. Trust none of them. Remember the Undying. Beware the perfumed Seneschal. With the show's revelation that Tyrion doesn't really want to destroy the Lannisters, there's evidence that one of the 3 betrayals promised in the books will come from him. And if the books are set to include an event as big as Tyrion betraying Dany, it will most certainly make the show. As we've already established, Tyrion still loves his own family on some level, even if he has sought to defeat them in past seasons. Discussing past decisions with Cersei, he even showed some remorse for killing a father who never loved him, a remarkable step considering the hatred between him and Tywin. Though Tyrion's loyalty to Daenerys hasn't wavered much over time, the power of bloodlines is baked into Game of Thrones. Faced with an opportunity to bring ruin to his own house, perhaps Tyrion finally understands just what that means and is looking for a way out. A compromise with Cersei would serve that end and would ultimately lead to Daenerys' ruin in one way or another, whether at the hands of the White Walkers or during an unexpected attack from the Lannister army. As I mentioned earlier, this betrayal would also explain what we see in the episode's final moments, with Tyrion staring at Daenerys' door longingly after Jon Snow enters her room. Although the first reaction was to call him heartbroken or jealous in the moment, the truth is that he may be feeling guilty knowing he betrayed both of them. Cersei has actual motivation to use Tyrion. The kicker here is that even if Cersei and Tyrion did have a breakthrough that brought them closer together, there is no guarantee she cares about remaining loyal to him. Remember, in the opening moments of The Dragon and the Wolf, Cersei emphasized a desire to have him killed if the meeting at Dragon Pit went bad. If she forged a secret alliance with Tyrion, she can guarantee his death no matter what happens. If Cersei engages in conflict with Jon and Dany and emerges the winner, the likely result is the death of all humanity, in which Tyrion is included. Should Cersei fail in an attempt to beat Jon and Dany, she now has the dirt to expose Tyrion as traitor, which would ultimately lead to his execution at the hands of Daenerys. However, as much as this theory is backed with quite a bit of proof and clues, it also doesn't make sense to me. Tyrion may indeed still love his family, but that doesn't clear out the obvious here, nor it does throughout everything the characters have learned up to this point. Turning a man in search of peace into an agent of chaos in the show's final hours would be a huge twist, but I cannot see it happening. Whether Tyrion still loves Cersei or not is not necessarily relevant, because he and his companions know that the woman they're bargaining with isn't trustworthy. Her misdeeds are common knowledge, especially to her own brother, and Tyrion is smart enough to not get involved with someone who would happily double-cross him whenever it suits her. Besides, if you listen to what the writers of the show have to say, they made it very clear that Tyrion is not the one in the wrong here. It seems like she's bluffing and he reads her bluff, but she wanted him